choice. It's not. It's one of the short answer questions. So be able to talk about those so that you can write about them. That was directive, analytical, behavioral. How about some questions?
As far as the ones, I can't remember that had the 5 that you posted with communication, consciousness. I can't think of what the name of what they're called, but is that something that we need to know, like in order? Do they fall in order, or are they just sporadic? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so they are sporadic, and I think you're talking about conventional and post-conventional and pre-conventional.
No, it was earlier on in the slides.
Okay. It wasn't low context and high context.
No, it was before that. It was communication. It was like 3 C's.
Oh yeah, okay. So cultural intelligence?
Yes.
Okay. So one was intellectual or cognitive. One was physical and one was emotional. So this is something that I want you to write about. It's not a multiple choice question. And it's in the textbook in chapter 3 at the end. So you're basically looking at a manager with a global mindset and what makes them successful or culturally intelligent. And that's the ability to have a good enough understanding, which would be the cognitive. And with that cognitive, you do the type of managing like leading by walking around or gathering all the information that you can, listening, that's a big part of the cognitive. And the emotional is having a certain degree of self-confidence, because you can't really be a good leader if you're just walking around as a big pile of doubt. And the last one was physical, and that was, am I over answering? That had to do with being able to match people's cultural nonverbal communications, use a quiet voice when you're talking about something really serious. So did I answer your question or not?
Yes. My video's not working, sorry.
No worries. I'm here to answer more questions, y'all. So I don't have any entrepreneurial questions on the exam, but it is a part of the low uncertainty. And that is because there is not much certainty. So high uncertainty means that you must have certainty. I know it kind of sounds opposite, but yes, entrepreneurship is for sure going to be in the low uncertainty category. Did I answer your question, Cherie? You sure? Oh, of course you're able to leave, and you don't have to be here at all as an optional class, but thanks for coming, Amy. Have a good day.
I had a question about the Hofstede's value dimensions.
Okay.
like specific, like I was just a little confused on the masculinity, femininity, like
Okay.
definition for that.
So Hofstede talked about, when he was talking about these cultural dimensions, he, and low context and high context, he was saying that the low context is more masculine because they're not doing feelings, they're shaking on it, and they're making money, and they're competitive, and that's affiliated with more masculinity. And the females are having tea before their business meeting. They're asking how you're doing in your degree program and asking after your family, building relationships, communication, and these are more feminine traits, according to Hofstede.
Okay, thank you. That makes much more sense.
Okay, good. Thank you for asking. Okay. So scientific management is all facts all the time. I'm going to start my machinery for my manufacturing the same time every day, and I'm going to use a system of manufacturing that I've always used, and it works well. And I'm going to get my resources in the form of people, and I'm going to have them work for 4 hours, take a break, 2 hours, take a break, and 3 hours, take a break. And this is based on science. So that's just an example. I mean, I don't know how many hours they're working, but if I'm using this scientific approach, I'm going to have a model, a scientific model, and that's what I'm going to use. And that's why a lot of our structures of business are still similar to more classical, which is the scientific. And then behavioral sciences does have science in it, but it's also got behavior. So with behavior, we're talking about psychology, we're talking about anthropology, and we're talking about what makes people tick. So the emphasis is not on the things of production, like scientific management, it's all of a sudden on the behaviors of our people. And they're really opposite. Did that answer it, Cherie? You bet. I always thought I would love to be an anthropologist. They study behaviors of people. And I'll never forget this one study I read. I just can't forget it. But this anthropologist studied people walking into the bathroom, and they studied how often people go in the first stall, how often they go in the second. There's like 4 stalls. And that's hilarious. What kind of valuable information comes out of a study like that? Well, it's a behavioral study. And so it kind of tells a lot. If you know that the third stall actually has the less traffic, maybe it has less germs, maybe you would go there. If you were populating it with toilet paper, you might take more care in that. I mean, it really isn't a whole bunch of valuable information, but I just love the behavioral sciences approach to anything because it's interesting. It's about what makes people tick. And I'm kind of fascinated by all that. So for Miles and Andrew, that's a bonus that you weren't expecting. There you go. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
What I'm
Thank you.
here to do
Thanks, I think, right?
to use everything in my arsenal to do just that.
All right. If nobody else has any questions, then have yourself a wonderful evening.
Thank you. You as well.
Has worked miracles for my patients who suffered for years.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you, Professor.
You too.
I actually wanted to apologize